All right, and we are live. I really need to shave today, though. Getting kind of scruffy, but hopefully this fills up fast. It's Saturday. I put up a link on Facebook. But a quick reminder for those of you who join after the fact, which is most of you, please remember to click like down below, subscribe, join my Orc Army, follow me on Facebook and Instagram, and use my Amazon affiliate link. Not that anyone really ever does. But all right, we already started off with a troll, which is just ridiculous. All right, bye-bye, little troll. All right, well, 16 people watching already. Pretty quick in the first minute. Let's get some likes going, keep everything flowing. The channel broke a new subscriber count this morning, 113,000. Brendan, you got to be more specific, man. Good way to build shoulders. I'm going to go with resistance training for your shoulders. So let's get more specific. It's a very vague question. How do you build shoulders? By lifting weights and eating protein and sleeping. We can do better than that. All right. There's plenty of people in here. Any benefits to tricep extensions on a decline bench instead of flat? Good question. We could make the argument based upon the latest research that I'm seeing that it may hit the long head more. Actually, behind the head stuff doesn't seem to do it that well. Reason you don't see me prescribing that, to each their own. Possibly a little more long head activation, maybe because of the downward angle. But it's really tit for tat. I'm going to say over the course of multiple sets, if you're doing multiple exercises, it probably really won't matter in that regard, other than you're hitting a different angle. And if we're changing stuff up occasionally to avoid overuse, particularly for more advanced athletes, there could be a benefit there. Right? There could be a benefit. This chair is slouching back too much today. All right. Other questions? James Salt, same thing I'm going to tell you with the shoulder question above. Lift weights, eat protein, sleep. Let's get more specific. Like if you guys don't know how to build muscles, you've got to be new to lifting. Did you guys, I mean, come on, guys, come on. What are good forms of GPP for those with limited equipment? How limited? You can go get a cheap tire and drag it around with a chain. You can do kettlebell swings. You can do barbell complexes at home if you've got a home gym. I mean, it depends on what you have available. So you tell me what equipment you have access to. Do you have some heavy stuff you can pick up and carry? We can do GPP. We can do GPP. Hey, coach, would there be any benefit to doing overhead press by cleaning it up rather than walking it out of the rack? Yeah, you'll get some practice cleans in. However, it will slightly impede your overhead performance. So the question becomes, what's more important to you right now? Practicing some cleaning, or you try chasing a bigger overhead press? Pick one. Hey, coach, I started running back off sets, but are you still going to pretend? Oh, gosh, another troll. Man, you guys are, the funny thing is I'm not even pretending with any of that. That's the ridiculous part. I've not exaggerated or lied in any way. All right. Hey, Jason, I've been lifting for close to 20 years on gear, and I've had a few people tell me I don't look like I lift. What's I doing wrong? More shoulder work? I don't know. I appreciate the donation, Kingslayer, and you have a happy 4th also. Hey, Jason, what are your thoughts on hack squats? Are they worse for the knees than conventional squats? No, I like hack squat machines if they don't put your back at weird angles. If it's the regular slide, hack squat machines are great. Do you think dumbbell pullovers are good for shoulder mobility? Maybe, maybe not. They're so Many trolls today. Wow. How many hours are you working while having 30? It's 40 plus clients right now. I have 41 at the moment. 2 of them are temporary. They're very temporary clients. They're only buying small packages as returning clients. So really, I technically will have 39. I am doing a new intake later this afternoon. I would say the coaching with that many clients, maybe 25 hours a week. Was maybe 30, but it's hard to say because I answer questions all throughout the day, all day long, off and on, while I'm doing other stuff, all through on social media, and even in between talking with other coaches and stuff. So that's almost hard to calculate. I would say actual work, 25 hours a week to coach that many clients. What's the best cardio while bulking, list, hit, or GPP? I'm going to say some GPP and list. I don't like hit cardio for the most part. When programming, do you think we need to worry about training muscles in the lengthening and shortened positions? If you have sport-specific needs, maybe, but usually the lengthening positions are what build the most muscle. It's where the most hypertrophic potential is if you were going to focus on one or the other. Is overhead press mainly a front delt and tricep exercise? Yeah, but it works other muscles. Coach, do you believe dumbbell pullovers can increase the rib cage via cartilage, not bone? No. One of my orc warriors. Any reason to focus on contracted positions and stretch position yields more growth, like spider curls? Probably not. Probably not. I mean, I'm not saying we shouldn't do full range of motion. Look, full range of motion in most cases, other than when it doesn't. I know that's a very trite answer. Tends to have the most hypertrophic potential. But if you were going to pick part of the range of motion, the lengthening position has the most hypertrophic potential for parts of the range of motion, as long as there is not active insufficiency created, which oftentimes happens with some machines, right? How do you deal with clients who are going through personal issues, having kids, work? Do you just focus on maintaining? I actually have a lot of that. Right now. I have multiple clients dealing with deaths of family members, of parents, new children about to be on the way. No, we adjust everything based upon their stress management. We can still make gains through these periods of time sometimes, but it depends on how much they're personally being affected. This is a case-by-case question. Really depends upon the individual client. Right, Scott, exactly. Tell them to F off. Some people are here to actually learn, and that's all I care about. I care about running my coaching business first and foremost. Number 2, about teaching people, helping people get stronger on here. Any other systems you recommend besides 531 and conjugate? No. How many of your clients compete in some sort of sports? Benny, I don't have an exact count. Half, 40%, I'm not quite sure. So what's that going to be? 15 to 20 of my current, maybe. I would actually have to go down the roster and count. I could just give you a ballpark. Do you like Call of Duty Cold War? I don't even know. I didn't play it. What brand of leg press did you order? I have not ordered a leg press. I'm not moved into a house yet. What are you talking about? You guys already know when I'm moving. I've already told you. How to boost testosterone naturally, you shouldn't care. With a syringe? Richard, the only way to boost testosterone in any meaningful way that you should care about at all, ever, is with a syringe. If you don't plan on picking up a syringe, you can actually literally forget the word testosterone even exists unless you're taking a biology test for school. Okay, that's the only 2 scenarios in which you need to know the existence of that word. Test question for class, or how much you're putting in with a syringe. Outside of that, you can forget that word even exists. It has no practical value for you as a lifter. Do you train people over 55? Is it safe to train for strength at that age? Yes, and yes. Squats is building my glutes and hams more than quads. How do I build up my quads? You're going to need some supplemental work. And of course, well, it's not building your hams more than your quads. That's impossible. It'll build your glutes more than your quads. And that's what the studies say it will do. Not my opinion. That's the research. That is Olympic style squats, not even getting into the power squats. Absolutely will build your glutes and adductors more than it will build your quads. Do some quad specific work, some single leg deep exercises. You could do some leg pressing, right? What do you think about 3 push, 2 pull, 2 leg? I don't even answer shit like that. Jason, is there any benefit to ask the grass squats instead of going to parallel from a hypertrophy standpoint? Well, it really depends on your range of motion. You do realize most people can't even do ass to grass, right? I don't know if you're actually biomechanically aware of that. Sure, if you can get into the position, particularly with a wider stance, sure. Do you have any rebuttals to Chad Wesley Smith's and critique of West Side methods? I disagree. I don't need to have a rebuttal. How do you deal with clients that are in the military when they could be away for 6 months and have access to limited gym equipment? We deal with that on a case-by-case basis, Jack. And yes, I do deal with that. I always have 1 or 2 clients who are military at any given time. We deal with it. You work with what equipment they have. The best part about being bald, my hair is falling out. I think I'm going to shave it. I would. That's what I did. I do it mostly for the psoriasis, but when it was definitely starting to thin already, just shave it. Oh, man. All right, more trolls. If a trainer claims that conventional deadlift is dangerous for noobs because they are more likely to have bad form, but Romanian deadlift is safer, quit listening to personal trainers. If a muscle takes 14 days to atrophy, can you train a muscle every 12? I wouldn't recommend that. No, you shouldn't be waiting that long. Is it possible that my lower lat and middle part of my back muscles are overused from natural pull-ups I am doing? Once in a while, I get a lot of pain area, can't train for a couple of days. I don't know what's going on with your specific situation. Coach, what do you think about closed stent, heels 4 inches apart, low bar squats for quads? I'm not going to be a fan of doing that for the most part. I mean, you could. I guess you could if you're really worried about quads. You could do it that way. You could even do them with heels on plates or whatever. But I don't think that's necessary. That's for some people, maybe. But I don't think it's necessary. I think if you get enough workload with more conventional methods, your quads will probably grow. I have pretty big quads. A lot of my clients have pretty big quads, but maybe in some extreme cases that might be necessary. Is stretching necessary after training? Stretching isn't necessary or particularly useful at all. Not my opinion. That's what the research says. Want to get my children to start strength training. How do you go about it? I don't have kids, Al. Thoughts on using trend for powerlifting purposes? I guess that's an individual choice on what you choose to use for your powerlifting. Feet flat or toes on for bench press. Depends on the lifter. I honestly feel I mostly do better with my heels flat. Any way I break it down or mess with it, I go back and forth. If someone trains with 6 to 8 sets for a muscle once a week, how much hypertrophy will they miss out on compared to 10 to 12 sets? I don't know about this much. Do you think there's any value to doing calisthenics type work like muscle ups, pilates, little front leverage or strength for hypertrophy purposes? Probably those wouldn't be my first choice. No, muscle ups are a multi-movement. That's not optimal for overall hypertrophy because one of the movements is going to limit you more than the other. Jason, you said in your previous videos, training a muscle every 14. I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm sorry. Thoughts on pistol squats? They're not that useful. They're a party trick. They suck for building size and strength. Do you think Hadfield squat is a good alternative if you don't have access to a belt squat? I think it's okay, but if you don't have access to a belt squat, you could do single leg exercises. Could we get more likes, guys? We're halfway into this. We're going to shut it down in another 15 minutes. If you guys who are watching could click like, it would be appreciated. Click the button. A bunch of you watching who haven't clicked it. Come on. There we go. Coach, for the bench press, should I count the reps that my friend touches? I got 12 reps. My friend had his fingers on the bar after. Nope, those don't count. You got 7 reps. That's it. You got 7 reps. How many of those did you pause on? Don't count the ones you touch and go either. They don't count. You didn't bench that. Does speed squat today, what percentage do you recommend for the weight on the bar and the band tension? Good starting, 25 and 25%. If you see someone who's ultra jacked but weak, does it mean they're juicing? No, it means that they haven't maximized their strength potential. Maybe they're not as big as you think they are because they're all delts and they don't have glutes or hamstrings or erectors or any of that, right? You think they're bigger than they are, and they're really lean with big delts, or they've never lifted heavy. You give me someone who's bodybuilder jacked, and I'll turn them into an elite level lifter in 12 weeks. That's all it would take. Literally, I could do it in 12 weeks. You give me Kai Green, and in 12 weeks, I could have him at the world level in powerlifting. Guaranteed. At Worlds. Why is band work restorative? Is there a known mechanism behind it? It depends on which specific band work we're talking about. It has to do with, specifically when I'm talking about elbow tendons, we're talking about the blood flow to the tendons around the elbow specifically. Does that make sense? We're not talking about restorative everywhere. We're talking about the tendons. If I can only afford one specialty bar right now, I only have one regular straight bar. What was your first choice? I don't know. It depends on what your weak links are and what you're doing. I don't know what's going on with your programming, Marco, so I cannot give you an answer. You see how that works? There is no correct answer. Which one do you need the most right now for what you were specifically doing? Buy that one. Jason, you've redeemed yourself. Don't listen to the trolls, non-negotiable. I appreciate that, Daniel. Thoughts on high bar squat for sports performance? I'm not as worried about bar placement as I am foot placement. I want to see a wider stance for better sports performance. Deload week versus week of no working out. Is there any hypertrophy differences? The deload week will be superior. How do you coach a person through a conventional deadlift who only does RDLs because she always gets hurt on deadlifts? You teach her to deadlift correctly. That's it. Problem solved. Thoughts on heavy 3x8 flat bench followed by 5x10 incline hammer strength? If you're doing 3x8, how is it heavy? You're up in that moderate rep range. Another troll. Oh my God. I don't know where you guys come up with this silly stuff. Like, if you guys are going to make a criticism, make a real one. Because then it might actually get to me. You know? Let me explain how this works, guys. If you want to upset a person, you need to have a criticism that is actually real. Because if it's something that I know for a fact I'm right on and you're wrong on, in the real world, it's not going to upset me. Okay, you guys got to learn how to do this better. You're not getting the effect that you want. You got to work on it. Just watched a few of your 10x3 videos. Still feel the same? No. I told you guys to ignore any information I gave in that little short span of years already. That everything I made before it and after it was better. Lost 30 pounds of weight and 100 pounds on my squat. Feels bad, man. Regain the weight. Hey, Jason, what's your go-to if a client starts dropping deadlifts? You tell them to quit dropping the deadlifts. That's your go-to. This is easy. All right, guys, we still got 2 of you watching. For every like, click that like button. Hey, coach, the pull-up and leg raises that you do regularly, if that's your GPP work, no, it's not all my GPP work. That's my morning regiment as far as just my general physical preparedness. It's not all that I do. I do an hour of walking in a 50-pound weight vest every day. Part of that is rucking groceries home in a backpack while wearing the vest. That's the biggest part of my GPP. Can you talk about keeping reps in reserve, pushing sets to close to failure? I find it very difficult to have the discipline not to push a squat, probably why a squat is still novice. Yeah, you need to quit doing stupid shit. That's simple. You have to say, do I want to do what works or do I want to do what I feel like doing? If you want to take your sets to failure, don't bitch and cry when you're overreached all the time. You're choosing to stay small and weak. You're making a conscious choice to say, fuck my gains. Fuck them. I don't care about gains. I want to do this shit instead because it makes me happy in the moment. Because I don't want gains. You're making a conscious choice. And that's fine. If you want to do whatever silly shit you want to do in the gym, like take all your sets to failure while not blasting 3 grams of gear, go ahead. I don't fucking care. But don't cry when you don't make gains because you chose that instead of just leaving a couple reps in the tank and doing appropriate volumes and getting bigger and stronger and growing faster. See, you made a conscious choice. Which one is more important to you? Right. If I skip posterior chain work on one of my lower body days, can I still do the next day or just skip it completely? Why don't you follow your program? I think you should follow your program correctly. I think that's a better idea. All right, some of these are getting buried. Is training at 6 a.m. fine? Yes. Does arm length affect what grip width should be used on a bench press? Potentially, but it's only one of the factors. What's a common body part you notice struggle for lifters above 6 foot tall? Again, just asking as an average, I understand there are outliers, probably quads and arms, at least relative to how they look, but definitely quads. Do you think that strength training has big carryover to mental strength and currently learning to code? And I've noticed that my mental grit increased. I think it does. Training to fail. What do you mean natural people? How do you know they're natural? Are you still in Texas? You seem to have lost your accent. Would love to meet you. I'm still in Texas. I don't know that my accent has ever changed at any point I've been on YouTube. I've never consciously changed it or noticed it. No, I don't go hang out with fans just because they want to hang out, bro. Jason, I do a mixture of cane sugar with honey and my Greek yogurt. Do you think it'd be healthier just to do honey and no cane sugar? Yes. How do we combine chains and bands at the same time when doing speed work? You combine chains and bands when doing speed work. So maybe hook the bands up first and then put the chains on after them. That's how I would do it. See how easy that was? Jason, my max deadlift is 405. Is 5 sets with 10 for 240 a good weight? I don't know. I'd have to break out a calculator. I've been doing your original 5x5 for this past week. Do you think I should do your 2.0 5x5 or stick to the original one? I don't know. Are you recovering from the original? The 2.0 was written for people whose lifestyle is optimal for it. If you can't recover, you need to run the 2.0. If you can recover, run the 1.0. On Emma's conjugate program, is her SSB 5 sets of 10 reps at 50%? It's something like that. I would need to go back and look at the notes to answer that. You could look at her vlogs. The answer is on the sheet at the start. Is it better to do your sets per muscle group once a week or spread out over 2 workouts? 6 one way, half a dozen the other. It depends on how much total volume you're doing, Ziller. If you're going to do more than about 10 to 12 sets, you're going to want to do it over 2. If you're only going to do 10 to 12 sets, once a week will be fine. Do you alternate speed work weekly like your max effort or in 3-week waves? Me personally or my clients? A lot of my clients, I do it in 3-week waves. I personally like to rotate them weekly. How long would you consider doing your 5x5 full body workout? I've been doing it for just 2 months now. I see changes, just very little. I don't know, a few months, 6 months maybe. Some people run it at 9 months or a year, but 6 months is a good run. Hey, coach, what is a good strength standard for overhead press for 1 rep max? I don't know. Go look at a strength standards chart. It's going to be based on your body weight, which is mostly based on your height. Training to failure is not optimal. You already asked that. How do you know they are natural? Why do you assume when someone says that they are natural that they are natural? Do you follow them around 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? Had they gone to the bathroom for 10 minutes once a week without you watching and told you they didn't want you to see them take a shit? Okay, then you can't prove they're natural. That's all you need to get 2 grams of gear in your butt cheeks. 10 minutes in a toilet with nobody watching every week. That's it. Not natural. They can't prove they're natural. You shouldn't be calling them natural. They spent 10 minutes without you watching them every week. Okay, you see how that works? Stop doing that shit. If I blasted trend for 1 month and train hard, how would I keep any of the muscle I gained? Why are you blasting trend for only 1 month? What are you stacking with it? What are you running in between? You're blasting and you're coming off completely? What's wrong with you? What is this, 1995, where you cycle and shit? Like, how old are you? People cycle still today? Seriously? They come off completely? Today? Jesus Christ. This has got to be 1995, bro. Would you ever date a meth addict? Never again. Never again. And you guys saw the news. I saw the news. It was sent to me. She is going to prison. Oh, well, it's sad, but it is what it is. Is a 350-pound bench attainable by most healthy males with average genetics? Depends on the body weight. How close can a natty with average genetics get to your strength and size? My size, my fat-free mass index. A natty. They're going to need to be hashtag natty. You better look at DEXA scans and my stats. All right. Is there much benefit to going over 10 to 12 sets for each muscle group per week, or is the difference negligible? It's going to depend on what's going on with your work capacity and recovery. It's going to have a lot to do with your stimulus to fatigue of the exercises that you're choosing. That is not a straightforward answer. Okay, that is not a straightforward answer. For many people without good lifestyles, that 10 to 12 might be their sweet spot, and there's a good chance of it. People with better lifestyles, specific exercise selection, can absolutely benefit from 20. Thoughts on using rest pause training for hypertrophy, especially for weak body parts? I think you would be better doing more sets across, not to failure. I think you would get more out of it. I know guys on gear who literally look like an average natty. There's no way to tell. The obvious ones usually use a lot of stuff and been on gear for a while. Marco, I agree. If a guy is obviously on gear, he has probably been using very high doses for multiple years. Okay. He didn't just do one big cycle. He's done 20 big ass blasts before people go, oh yeah, that guy's clearly on gear. He might be 5 years deep into the abuse doses before people go, oh, it's obvious. Okay. And that usually is the case. I also know plenty of guys who use a gram of gear who barely look like they lift. We all know them. How much will a shot of Jack Daniel's 1 beer affect my recovery? I don't know. How long is a piece of string? It will have some effect. I can't give you a number. I already answered your deload week question in this same chat. Hey, Jason, what do you think about fish proteins? I don't like fish. I won't eat it personally. It's nasty. But it's a high-quality protein. There's no problem with it if you like fish. or a Titan purple dildo? Are you really asking about a dildo, Martinez, after some of those personal questions? I might ban you in a second. Might want to clarify that, although it's time to wind this chat down, isn't it? It is time to wind this chat down. So I hope it has been informative. I love all of you guys, and I will talk to you guys next time.